Okay, so how do you ask a girl to come home with you? Okay, this is normally if you're like at a bar or club talking to a girl, or you're on a date and you're inviting her home. I'm not really talking about Tinder texting to get a girl straight over. Doing it straight over online dating is really difficult. She has to be really, really, really into you, and usually she's going to be lower quality. You're not going to get a lot of really hot chicks who are just going to come straight over from Tinder. You're normally going to get like sixes, maybe sevens if you're good. Or, I mean, you might just have an amazing profile, but it's probably not going to happen for 99.8% of you guys. So this is just talking about the context of you're at a bar in a club and you're chatting up a girl and you're talking to her and you feel like there's an escalation window. All right, I've talked about that in a different video. Put that in the description below. That's you get the sense that she's ready to go home with you. Okay, there's a lot of different signs that she's ready to go home with you, but this is just about what to actually ask a girl. Or you're on a date with a girl and things are looking good and you got a good feeling about how everything's going, so you want to take it to the next step and get her over. So generally there's 4 categories, I guess, 4 different techniques. So you can go direct, you can go ultra direct, you can have a vague let's hang out kind of thing, or you can have some sort of an excuse. So an excuse is the one that you normally think of when you invite a girl home, like Netflix and chill, come over, watch a movie, I don't know, come over, and I told the girl, let's go play PlayStation, let's go play Street Fighter. It could be very thinly veiled. Like, it could be very obvious that, hey, you want to come over and play some PlayStation? She's like, yeah, let's go play some PlayStation. It could be obvious given the tonality, and maybe the conversation has been really sexual. You guys have been vibing really well. But normally you're gonna be giving some sort of a plausible deniability. That's another way to think about it. Plausible deniability means, in her head she can kind of write it off as, oh, we're just going back to his place to do X. We're not going to have sex. And she can kind of, maybe when she's telling the story to someone, she can say, yeah, we were just going to go over and blah, blah, blah. And you can kind of think maybe she'll get away with it, or, she can delude herself into thinking, oh, okay, I'm not, whatever barriers she might have, I'm not a slut for going home with a guy on the first date because we went to go play this. But then, one thing led to another. So who knows who she's trying to delude when she tells the story, or if, why these work well. But also some people are not very direct. And it's not that they're deluding themselves, maybe. It's that they are, hi, Nana. She sees something. It's playtime. It might just be that, she might find being too direct just not classy. There might be an air of sophistication, just a sense that, we don't want to be brutish about it, so let's give some sort of an excuse. Then you have the general hang. I'm going backwards from 4 to 1. Generally, you're going to have a hangout, right? You're going to be just vaguely wanting to spend more time with her, right? And you might even use the word hang out. You could almost put it in the direct category, but I feel like this phrase itself is its own little thing. It's very vague on purpose. It's kind of in between being direct and having an excuse, okay? Because there's no direct thing that you're having an excuse to. Like, oh, come back to my place and have a bottle of wine, right? That might be an excuse as well, right? Or let's go eat, right? Because you may be hungry or thirsty or want to get fucking drunk, but the undertone is not, you could do all those things yourself. Why are you wanting to do them with her, right? The cat is already out of the bag. It doesn't need to get grabbed out of the bag, right? So just a vague general hangout. Um, it can be a nice middle road between, okay, I'm not giving a bullshit excuse, you know, I'm being somewhat direct that I just want to spend time with you, but without just saying, hey, let's go back to my place, right? So that's what direct is. Direct is, hey, let's go back to my place, or hey, let's go back to your place. Like, it's just no bullshit. I'm going to say exactly what we're going to do. Now, the activity has not been talked about, discussed. You know, are we going to play blackjack at your place, or am I going to stick my dick in your pussy? All right. So it hasn't been confirmed what the plans are, right? But the beauty about this direct one is that it is very masculine, okay, and it's very dominant, right? And if you pull it off, it can be very it can make the vibe really nice, where you're just leading. You're just like, hey, let's go back to my place. Okay, yeah, sure. Because you're not hiding behind an excuse. And when you're willing to be vulnerable on that level, because you're willing to be rejected on a very direct level rather than trying to hide behind plausible deniability and excuses, which on a certain level, I mean, you could argue they're classy and, you know, I'm not being uncouth or whatever, but on a certain level, you could argue you're being a pussy, right? So direct is very nice, where you just, let's just go back to my place. And what happens after that is left in the air. Now, she could counter and go, oh, what are we going to do, right? So that's where I personally, right, what I normally do is I'll do a direct and then into ultra direct. Okay. So ultra direct is probably what you guess. Like, I'm going to say, hey, we're going to go back to my place and have sex or hook up, or I want to kiss you. You can even just say that. Like, I've said to girls, you know, I just want to be alone so I can kiss you, right? Because, you know, we're in public and I want to be in private. I want to be able to, you know, have some intimacy with you. But you're making it very clear, I'm asking you to come back to my place so that we can get intimate. Now, what level, how your ultra directness is going to be, right? Is it like master ultra instinct? Like, you're like, I just want to fucking ultra instinct into your pussy, you know? Or is it, if you didn't get this reference, it's Goku doing instant transmission. It's like a teleportation into her pussy. If you don't watch Dragon Ball Z, then okay, you didn't get that reference. You're like, why the fuck is he touching his forehead? But yeah, you know, it can vary how direct you're going to be. The beauty of this is that it could be used as the backup plan if she does question what you're going to go do, and you're still being masculine, and then you're double downing on the masculinity and the dominance, right? Let's go back to my place. Okay. You're walking for a couple minutes. What are we going to do? Well, honestly, I've been wanting to kiss you since we've been on this date, but, you know, I want to be in a private place to do that. Or just, I mean, do you want me to be honest? Sure. I really just want to bend you over and just fuck you so goddamn hard. What? Right? It might catch her off guard. Usually it does catch girls off guard, but not in like a bad way. A lot of the times when I've told girls what I want, they'll have a moment of like, wow, okay, like not a lot of guys in my life have done that. You know, most guys who are super direct, they do it in a safe way. Like, they send her a message on Instagram, right? Because it's safe. You know, you're just sending a message. You're not possibly, you know, being very vulnerable to getting slapped in person, right? And so they are going to have a moment where they got to be like, okay, wow. But very rarely are they going to be insulted. Honestly, I can't remember the last time a girl was actually insulted. Like, I can't even think of one ever where she was just straight up insulted by what I said. Even if I got rejected, they were just trying to like, oh, yeah, I'm okay, right? But I can't remember a girl ever like, oh my God, you fucking weirdo. I can't believe you said that. Now, it's something that I practiced a lot, and I just could say it very casually, like I'm talking about the weather. So there was a certain level of expertise to just fucking throwing it out there like that. But um, ultra direct I like a lot. But what I would advise in 99% of cases, the only time I would advise you just go from the bat ultra direct is if you've had a very sexual vibe with her and maybe you've even talking about sex. But that can get complicated because you can talk about sex with a girl and then this camera's kind of smudged for a second. But then looks a little better maybe. But then you've made it too sexual. And then you invite her home, like, hey, let's go back to my place. Like, what the fuck? And she's like, oh no, like, no, I mean, it was fun talking about it, but her what we call anti-slut defense, ASD, right? Usually, it's gonna get triggered by these two, because like, here's the thing about a lot of life in general, not just seduction, right, and dating and sex. A lot of things are very obvious in front of us, right? Whether it's politics or religion or, people who are famous and it could be right in our face that something is really, really bullshit, okay? Like very blatant contradictions, scandals, right? But you can call something out, and I mean, people can just lie and deny it, right? But there can be a lot of self-delusion. Like people don't want their idols or their gods or whatever exposed, right? Well, sex, especially for women, right? It's kind of difficult to say who created chastity, like protecting your virginity or protecting your reputation. Like it's hard to say if it's more enforced by women or men. I've gone back and forth over the years of like, what, it's women who are in this like game together to like make each other look like or make themselves look way more less of a slut than maybe they are, right? And to hide their desires, even though it's very clear like they have really even if they're just with one guy, they still want to do a lot of kinky stuff, right? They're very sexual beings. But then on another hand, it's like, it feels like women are usually, in my experience, are more open about sexuality. And actually, it's the men who are protective of women's virginity because they don't want to destroy their own idealization of, their beautiful girl is the virgin good girl, right? And they put her on a pedestal, right? Oh, these girls are whores, but this girl, she's special, right? So it's kind of hard to say who's the architect of it. Probably the best answer is both. Both men and women are. I mean, men protect their own stuff, right? Just look on, Instagram, and one of the best examples right now is a lot of girls who do OnlyFans. They'll post like ads, and guys will just be like, "Seek Jesus," this is degeneracy and blah blah blah. I guarantee these guys masturbate and watch porn, right? So they're, they go on red pill videos and they're like, yeah, grind for Jesus, go to the gym for Jesus, right? It's all about gym, grind, and God, right? And it's like, yeah, but do you actually live by that, right? Which I know seems a little bit not relevant to the video, but it actually is, because our sexual desires, right, are very potentially shameful for a lot of reasons. Not just religious, but, for men too. I mean, if you get called a player in a social circle, like, you could be ostracized because men want to protect any girls who might be into you because clearly you know what you're doing. And then girls they may be attracted to you, but they'll actually shun you because they don't want to be associated with you, because if they are, then a girl who sleeps with a player is a slut usually, or at least she's tainted, right? You can be like, oh, yeah, he gets with a lot of girls. You got with him. You might have an STD, like both men and women will try to take opportunities to throw, girls, most of the time girls will try to shut down a slut because she's giving away pussy, and it's really, really hard to compete with that when you got, especially if she's hot. And then a guy who's getting a lot of girls, the women actually are a little bit more okay with him, right, for obvious reasons. But the men are not, right? Whereas the men are actually more protective of the slut because, hey, maybe I'll get some, right? So ASD, anti-slut defense, right? When you're direct or ultra direct, it's more likely to bring up that very direct verbal response of, oh, I'm not that kind of girl, right? Or I'm not looking for, I'm looking for something serious. Those are the two responses you're always going to get, right, when you offer sex to a girl, because that's what you're essentially doing. Now, direct, you're not going to get it as much, but if you go ultra direct, you're definitely going to get it. Unless, like, the seduction has been perfect, or maybe she's in that phase of her life right now that she's just, yeah, whatever, like, this guy's awesome. He's just fucking manly enough to ask me to have sex. She might have some questions, but not on the level of anti-slut defense. More on the level of, hey, are you actually going to, like, see me again, or blah, blah, blah. Direct, you may not get it, right? But she'll ask a second question of, like, what are we going to do? So she's going to test you after you go direct to see, are you going to go to 2? Are you going to go to 3? Or are you going to go to 4? Most of the time I would go to 2 because I have this purist mentality of, like, the game should be pure. Like almost like an OCD, almost like a religious purity, but for game. Like, I need to be honest, right? And I want to win with honesty. So I've actually lost a lot of girls because I didn't know how to. It's not the ultra direct that fucked me. It was how I handled it, right? Or are you going to just like, oh, we're just going to hang out, right? Or are you going to make some excuse? But here's the beautiful thing, is that if you are asked what you're going to do, that's actually the moment most when you should be ultra direct. Being ultra direct, the best time to do it is when you're asked what you guys are going to do. Now, how you actually say it is important, right? If you say, oh, we're going to fuck. You've seen that meme? It's like, it must have been on TikTok, and it was like, you want to fuck? And she's like, not if you say it like that. And then he jokes, he goes, wanna fuck, right? And makes fun of, like, okay, well, how am I supposed to say it to make you actually horny? But how you say it is super important, right? If you're just like, well, you can smash. It's not very sexy, right? But if you're like, I've been wanting to kiss you since, like 20 minutes ago, but, we were in a cafe, so I wanted to be somewhere private, but I want to taste your lips. Okay, well, that's going to be a lot more fucking seductive, right? Or if you just, like, look her in the eyes, be like, look, I'm going to be honest with you, and I mean this with no disrespect, but you are fucking sexy, and I honestly just want to bend you over and give it to you. Okay, well, that has a chance to really work, right? So if you're asked what you guys are going to do, I would suggest you actually go ultra direct, even if you're not ultra, like, sexual in the rest of your seduction, right? And you'll be surprised how girls will respond. But most of you won't do it. Like, you're just not going to, right? So I could put in a video and hope, but none of you are going to do it. So normally what's going to happen is you're going to go hang out, or going to go with an excuse. But if you do go direct, say, hey, let's go back to my place, she might just say okay. She might just say okay. And in that case, there's no need to further elaborate, right? Don't, just accept the gift. All right, she's saying yes. Okay. Right. If you are going to, I would suggest actually you stay away from hangout. It's too much of a cop-out. It is kind of a nice middle ground, but I feel like if you're going to, lukewarm doesn't really work so well with girls. Like, it's better to actually be hot or cold. Like, if you're going to go hot, just fucking go direct or ultra direct, right? If you're going to make some sort of, if you're not going to be ultra direct, just make an excuse of some sort, right? Don't lie, obviously, right? So you should actually, like, order food, or, share your non-alcoholic beverages in my case, right? Because I'm not going to be drinking, but I'm going to, let's have our grape soda or, play the PlayStation, play like one round, right? Or you could, like, move to do it, but then, because, see, I'm all about, like, being super, super, like, clear with your truth, right? So, like, oh, we'll watch a movie, right? You put the movie on, and then you watch it for a second, so technically you have watched it, and then you make your move, right? It's usually what happens. But I would say go with either an excuse or ultra direct. But you should try as much as you can to start direct, because you want to avoid as much as possible any of these. The best way is just to say where you want to go. What you do after is, it might just be understood by both parties. And I think, honestly, it's the cleanest approach. So what I'll do is I'll be on a date with a girl, and you're talking to her. Finding the exact window, that's a whole nother video. I'm serious. Like, dude, you could ask one girl right now, and then she might have said no. But if you had waited 5 more minutes and found a better window, she might have said yes. Now, you could always ask again. You don't have to give up on the first no. She might be like, oh, it's happened to me before. A girl's like, okay, let's hang out a little bit. We'll see about later. And then I continue talking for like 30, 45 minutes. And then I try again, and then she's ready to go. You can also ask her to go on a walk. So you go on a walk, and then you transition from there. It's a nice way to get it's good for an escalation or a compliance ladder. It's like a sales technique where you get someone to say yes to one thing, and then they say yes to another thing, and then they're more likely to say yes to a third thing. Hi, Nana. Yes. Do you want to be in the video? But yeah, you can ask her to go on a walk, and that'll be a nice transition into going to your place or asking her to come home to your place. So what I would, like I said, timing for this is, it can vary. But the actual phrasing, you find the time you want to do it, and you just say, hey, it doesn't have to be super smooth. You almost want to actually think about it a little bit. You're like, yeah, ha ha ha. You finish whatever, you tell a joke or you smile, yeah. So hey, I was thinking we can get out of here. Yeah, sure. Let's go back to my place. Say it super casually, just like that. All right? Just fucking throw it out there. Now, I know you think that you have to make it more complicated than that, but honestly, it actually, some of the best pulls can be that direct. Just, let's get out of here. Okay, cool. Where are we going? Oh, we'll go back to my place. Okay. You'll be surprised, how easy it might actually be. The reason we come up with these excuses or let's hang out is because you think you have to do more. But pulling is one of those things where you only need to do as much as you need to do. But a lot of guys they throw the kitchen sink at the wall. Hey, I was thinking, let's go back to my place and watch a movie. Now, you can do that, right? Be like, hey, I'm having fun. Do you want to continue hanging out? Yeah, that'd be cool. Why don't we go back to my place and, watch a movie? Or, have a drink or, order some food. Maybe you were having coffee and you want to go have dinner now. Hey, you want to keep spending time together? Yeah, sure. Let's hang out. Okay, sure. The problem with that is you have to specify where you're going. So you either say, let's go back to my place and hang out. Or you use it as, let's go back to my place. Oh, what are we going to do? We're going to hang out. And then you move to 3. But, honestly, the change of the what you're going to say, it's hard to say what percentage that's going to change your likelihood of success, right? Ultra direct, honestly, for most of you guys, just don't try it. It's not worth it because it's very high risk. I would say direct is the best way to start. It's the highest percentage. But then what you say after, if you're advanced, do ultra direct. If you're really good with girls, do it because I think they're actually going to appreciate your boldness. Or the other thing that might work is if you're actually really, really inexperienced. It might work. Because if you're inexperienced, you're probably not giving off too much of player vibes. So if you actually go ultra direct, she won't feel like she's getting got by a player. It might come off really sincere, which is actually what you want to do if you're a really experienced player. You want to come off really sincere with it. But you lose it because you get jaded over time, and she just becomes a number instead of a fun experience where 2 people are sharing their bodies with each other. But Hey, let's go back to my place. Okay, sure. What do you want to do? Oh, just hang out. I've never really liked it, honestly. So just come up with something that Hey, I got this cool movie. Usually, if you're gonna give an excuse, there should be some context that was from the. This is the one I do like, because I find this to actually be artistic. If you guys were talking about a certain show, right? Hey, let's go back and watch, some Gossip Girl. Oh yeah, that'd be fun. Or let's go watch some whatever. Game of Thrones was a really popular one that I would do back when that was popular. Before it ruined itself. So use something from the date you guys were talking about. Let's go listen to some music. Like maybe you were talking about your favorite DJs or your favorite artists or whatever. So use context. That would be my preferred strategy. So start with direct, which is, hey, let's go back to my place. And honestly, it's that simple. Now, the timing and how you say it is very important, obviously. So the timing, it's a totally different video. Sorry. This video is already long enough. But how you say it, hey, let's go back to my place. What do you think? Let's get out of here. Yeah, sure. Let's go back to my place. Very casually, as if, like, you're talking about the fucking weather. Okay? Ultra direct, it better be fucking seductive. You gotta really turn up the romance. Or, like, just pure animalistic sexiness. Hang out. For the most part, I'd avoid it. Unless, like, you can't think of anything, then in a lot, at least something. But if you're going to use an excuse, use a context that you guys were talking about during the date, okay? Cool. Anyways, I hope that made that clear. It's always good to have very just technical videos on, like, what to say. And then, yeah. So I got shit in the description below. Buy all of it. Day game course, texting book. Okay, don't just click off. Those courses are really helpful, and they help me stay in business so I can continue giving you free content. And then if you're ever interested in personal coaching, where I give you, tailored advice just for you, sign up for a coaching consultation. It is expensive, but if you've got the money and you're really wanting to get good fast, it's the best way. Nothing beats it, okay? So, cool. That's how you ask girls home. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. See you soon. Hector Castillo, girlschase.com. Ciao.